You are the path taking itself. If I asked you right now to trace your life backwards, to follow the thread of how you arrived at this exact moment, something very strange would appear. It would make sense. Not the kind of sense you find in a textbook, the kind of sense a dream makes while you're inside it. Think about dreams for a moment. In a dream, the strangest things happen. A horse walks through your kitchen. Someone you know has a completely different face. And yet, in the dream, you don't question it. It fits. It belongs. Only when you wake up do you say, "That was absurd." But your life has that same quality when you look backward. It flows. Everything that happened, every mistake, every detour, every wrong turn, somehow led to this moment. You can find pain, you can find regret, you can find confusion, but it becomes strangely difficult to find the place where you truly went off the path. Because there may never have been another path, this sounds unsettling at first. It can sound like fatalism, as if nothing matters and everything is predetermined, but that's not the point at all. The point is something far more subtle. Most people walk through life with a quiet anxiety. The fear isn't just that life will be difficult. The fear is that we might miss our life, that somewhere there exists a correct life, the one we were supposed to live, and we somehow wandered away from it. We imagine another version of ourselves, the version that made better decisions, the version that chose the right job, the version that said yes when we said no, and we carry that invisible comparison everywhere. But consider something. What if the feeling of being lost was never a mistake? What if confusion wasn't a deviation from your path? What if confusion was the path? Look at a river. A river never asks if it is going the right way. It doesn't stand still worrying about rocks in its path. It doesn't compare itself to another river. It simply moves. When it meets an obstacle, it curves around it. Sometimes it slows down. Sometimes it spreads into a quiet pool. Sometimes it crashes through stone. But eventually it reaches the sea. Not despite the winding. Because of the winding. The bends and turns are not mistakes. They are how the river moves. And you are not a straight line either. You are a winding thing. But our culture tells us something different. It says life should move from point A to point B. Be efficient. Know where you're going. Move directly toward it. But that is not how life actually unfolds. Life moves more like music. A melody wanders. It rises and falls. It stretches toward a note that hasn't arrived yet. Then it resolves for a moment, before reaching again. Music lives in this tension between movement and resolution. And so do you. You are always in the middle of a phrase that hasn't finished yet. When we forget this, we start believing we must see the entire path clearly before we walk it. But clarity rarely appears at the beginning. Clarity often arrives only after the walking. Imagine walking through thick fog. You cannot see very far ahead, maybe only a few steps, but those few steps are enough. Your feet know something your mind cannot calculate. Life is like that. We think we are supposed to know where everything leads. But most of the time we are simply moving through fog. And strangely, that is exactly how life works. A map can show you an idea of the territory, but you are not walking on a map. You are walking on the mountain itself. And the mountain knows paths the map never recorded. Think about a seed buried in the ground. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. Darkness, pressure, weight. If the seed could think, it might believe something had gone terribly wrong. I'm supposed to be in the light, it might say. Why am I buried? But the burial is the beginning. The pressure cracks the shell. Roots reach downward in the dark. And only then does the seed rise toward the sun. Your life has buried you many times. Moments when everything seemed uncertain. Moments when the ground disappeared beneath your plans. Moments when you thought something essential was ending. And in many cases, something was ending. But not your life. Only the shell you had outgrown. There is a word people misunderstand. Destiny. We imagine destiny as a destination waiting somewhere in the future, a place already marked on a map. But destiny may not be a place at all. Destiny may simply be how you move. Think about walking. Walking is actually controlled falling. You lean forward, you lose balance, and you catch yourself with the next step. Lean, fall, catch. Lean, fall, catch. That is how you cross a room, and that is how you move through life. You are always falling forward, always stepping into the unknown. and catching yourself just in time to take the next step. Children understand this when they learn to walk. They fall constantly, and we celebrate it. We don't say something is wrong. We say they're learning. Somewhere along the way, we forgot this about ourselves. We began believing that falling meant failure, but falling is how movement happens. You cannot walk without falling forward, and you cannot live without stepping into uncertainty. Every decision is a step into the unknown, even the safe ones, even the familiar ones. Life does not unfold like a straight road. It unfolds like a melody. You are not walking along the path. You are the path unfolding. Let that sink in. You are not searching for the correct road. You are the road being created as you walk, step by step, choice by choice, fall by fall, arrival by arrival. And wherever you arrive becomes the only place you could have reached, because your life carried you there. This is not about control, and it is not about surrendering completely either. It is about something simpler. Movement, you in motion, not knowing exactly where the road leads, and arriving anyway. That is the strange miracle of being alive. You do not need to see the entire path. You only need the courage to take the next step, because the path is not ahead of you. The path is what appears each time your foot touches the ground.